Alright, well, welcome to my final showcase video for my final year project. I basically made a 3D first person puzzle prototype, and it uses loads of different sort of like mechanics and non-Euclidean mechanics, such as like portals and stuff, to sort of make interesting puzzles. Um, just as a disclaimer, I did not make the portals, but I was allowed to use them in this project. So we've got a little bit of a level going on here. This is the showcase level, so this is what uh, you play when you start up. So let me just do that again. There we go. So you sort of start in here, you pop out, and you're in this sort of like storage room. And there's a door. You can walk up to it, and it says at the bottom, looks like the door's locked, maybe there's another way out. So you can start looking around and stuff, and you can move some of these boxes, and they've got physics on. And so it's left click to pick up a box, and you hold it, and then if you let go, it drops it. And then once you're holding it, if you then right click, it'll throw the object. These black ones or grey ones don't move because there'd just be too many physics objects in here, and it would impact performance, sort of thing. So you sort of have a look around, like, oh, okay, there's like a vent. You can see some like movement and some lights back there. And like, okay, how do I get there? So you can literally just pop the vent off and sort of throw it around. And one thing to note is that there isn't actually any sort of sounds in the game or in the prototype because I'm not a sound guy basically. So build these up. You can jump with the spacebar, and you can crouch with left control. So you come into this vent area. There's a little like fan that's spinning around and makes the shadow on the floor. It's kind of cool. If you follow this round, it might be a little bit dark on the recording actually, but whenever I play it, it's not actually that dark. So you come down here, the vent pops open, and then there you go. Looks like I'm in sort of like a control room or whatever. Then there's some like cabinets, and these have like physics doors, so you can just open them. Nothing inside, but whatever. You can also move the chairs about, and you can kind of just throw stuff about all over the place. We've got an open door here, so we can open that. And these are supposed to be like TVs and stuff, and this is like a mock control panel sort of thing. So you've got these two sort of pressure pads. These are pretty cool. They don't activate by the player, but I'll go over them a little bit later because they've got a few options to them. But you can see, when you land, sort of like, oh look, there's blue and blue sort of matches up, and there's some like little boxes moving there through the pipe, so you can, it draws attention to it just a little bit. So you can come down here, down some stairs, and then you're like, oh, okay, it's up there. So like, how do I get to it, sort of thing. So I've done this lots before, so you can just jump and then jump up, and then if you really wanted to, you can pick up a box just about, or you grab this box and you can jump around with it. Then if you really want to sort of get up there, put a box down, jump on said box. It's a little bit wobbly. Do a big old jump, and then you can knock it down. So there's physics, there's picking up stuff. You can sort of do that however you want. You can actually jump from there and then jump and grab the box as well. So that's an option. Little things around. So we've got some security sort of cameras up here. So if you actually throw a box or something at it, you can pop the camera head off. Scale's a little bit off, but you know, never mind. So you bring this one back up here, and then you can plonk it down. So you see, it actually like moves up and down. I'm really happy with how these sort of pressure pads worked out because they go down bit by bit instead of like just instantly down, which is pretty cool. Just you know, a little detail there. Got some boxes and stuff that you can play around with. Some more sort of cubes flying through the pipes and stuff. Just adds to the sort of life and feel of the game or the prototype. You know, it's a showcase level, so you can come in here. So it's directly underneath the control room. Then you can see in there we've got like a little red cube, and there's the red pressure plate up there. So this room is a little bit underdeveloped, but you know it's sort of got everything that we sort of need. So this comes onto our next sort of system. So this is a plug kind of mechanic. So you've got this little cube attached to a little cable, and then it goes to sort of like the wall. So it's like a plug and a cable sort of thing, and then you can bring them over to these two. So you can actually put them in the wrong ones, and then you know your cable goes red or whatever. So it sort of visually tells the player, you know, it's kind of like wrong or whatever. You can then pick these back up. So just left click again, and then they snap to it automatically. So they're both threads, and then you can sort of pop it out, and so it even got functionality to knock the first one out if you try and drag another plug to it. So as you see, you know, like the cable goes green, you whack that, fan turns on, and then the cube sort of bounces through. And with the fan on, you can actually, if you try and like put it back in there, it'll just fly right out. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. And this vent is physics as well, so you can sort of move it. It's constrained to one plane, so it'll only swing down. But if we take this little cube back up here and put it on this pressure plate, big doors open. You're like, okay, cool. Let's go see what these big doors are. Stuff's loading in, so it's a little bit choppy. So we've got these doors are big, and then sort of like an airlock system, sort of where you'd put maybe like some particle systems for like some smoke or something. And so if you walk in, the doors close behind you, and you sort of you can't get back through. But this is sort of like one of the main puzzles. So you walk in, first thing you see, you know, like this big sort of almost window, I guess you'd call it, but things look a little bit bigger on the other side. So you can also look through this one, and you can see sort of, oh, things are small, and then you know you can also see like, oh, there's a you know a box with like a fan in it or whatever, which is up there. But if you haven't seen that already, and then you walk through, it's actually a portal. So you're in the same room, but now you're just bigger, and a little bit of text at the bottom sort of tells the player how big they are and sort of stuff like that. So you can come over here and you can grab the box down, which is pretty cool. And so it's like, oh, okay, where do I go, sort of thing. But you can see this, so it's like another mini control room. If you walk back through, it tells you that you know, you're scale 1, essentially. So we've got another door over here. Looks like this door's locked. Maybe there's another way in. You're like, oh, okay. There's this little hole. I did sort of want it maybe in the door, but you know, it's easy to see sort of like when you look at just this bit because you're naturally drawn to sort of the things in here, so it's kind of fairly noticeable. Again, apologies if it's a bit dark in the recording. It's just how it is. So you're like, oh, okay, how do I get in there? We've got this small hole, and we've got these sort of like windows or portals that can resizes. And if you look over here, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to be like, half the size when I walk through here. So there you go. These portals are really cool. They're pretty seamless. So you walk through twice. Now it's a little funny sort of thing. Oh, I'm like an ant now, so it sort of tells you that you're small enough to sort of fit through the cracks and stuff. And then there you go. You walk in, and now you're in the control room. I tried to make this place a little bit interesting. I had this sort of idea of parkouring up a bookcase, and it's not too bad. I sort of just wish there was some more stuff on the walls, but ultimately I'm not a level designer. I am more of a game designer. So this is just to showcase sort of like some of the mechanics. So you do a little parkour up here if you can. So a little thing to note is that when you change scale or size, your movement actually scales with you. So that's pretty cool. And so you've got another physics vent here, so you can walk up and in. And there's nothing that way, but I was thinking maybe like a fan or something, but that'd be further development. So here's the red cube, essentially. So you can either go back down and take it with you, or you can sort of explore and follow this vent along. And I think that most people would probably want to know like where the vent is and where it leads. A little bit of a drop down. You like, you can carry on through, and then you're at this stage. So this is one thing I really like as well. The cube still has physics on it, so sort of it'll try and stay where your cursor is. For sort of not there was a bug where you could hold it and then jump on it and then you could fly. So it actually disables collision with the player, when the player's holding it. But pushes this up and then back down, and then you're in sort of like this underground bit just below the portal. So there's two more pressure pads, so they're the same color as the last one, so you sort of get an idea of what it is, what it's like, and then you realize, oh, the box is too light. Maybe there's a way to make it bigger. So the portals resize stuff, so that would make it bigger. But how do we get there? So, and that's our blue box as well. So we've got two plugs here, and then another plug on another socket on the wall, and then again, sort of like if you put the purple one in. Oh, okay, this vent door, great thing opens. Cool. So now I'm out here, but I'm really small, and it's a pain to sort of walk all the way. But I mean, like you can do it if you want. But this little area over here, so we've got like another little vent thing with a fan, and then it goes up. So that fan actually will push you up and through this vent and out here. And then again, this is the physics, so it falls down, and it's pretty cool. And then you come here, so if you go through the small one, it's going to make it bigger. So there we go. The cube is now bigger than it was, and you can actually go back to normal size because you can get in without having to go through the vents and stuff. So you can bring this one in, and then you can plonk it down on the red one. If you plonk it down on the blue one, it's color specific, so it won't actually do anything. So you can put the red one on the red one, and then again, if you have a cube that's too big, it box is too heavy. Maybe there's a way to make it smaller. It doesn't make a lot of sense now that I think about it, but the box has to be a specific sort of size for it to work, and it's all about resizing objects. So you can throw it in, and you can get it to smaller. You can also get it bigger, and there's no limit to how big or small they can get. But you know, you could put that limitation in. So you plonk that one down, and then all of a sudden this sort of lift thing falls through. I'll go over some sort of debugging tools and stuff. So if you press Z or Z, however you want to say it, it brings up just a little bit of debugging information. So it tracks your speed up here and sort of like your falling speed. And then we've got air control. That's actually from an earlier version. You can actually increase your scale if you really want to, and we've got some controls and some histograms on the side to sort of visually track velocity, so you can see it jump up and down there, and it goes up and down. So if we just clear that, you can make yourself bigger, and then you can, if you try and crouch and fit in there, it tells you, you're too big. And then let's go smaller, so I think it's this size actually. Yeah, so it says like rodent detected arm lasers. It's just a little sort of bit of humor. But if you go back to the right size, so if you sort of there we go. I'm currently half my size, so if then I go into here, if you go back to my old self again, that sort of indicates that you're the right size. And then you come in here and it says going down. I did want to put some doors on this, but it's not sort of necessary. And that's sort of like the end of the showcase bit, really. I did want to do a little bit more, but hey ho, basically. But you can go to the asset gym. So this is where I sort of tested and built a lot of the sort of systems and mechanics, sort of that's in the showcase. So we've got each sort of area is labeled with its own sort of color, and then you've got these little sort of titles to sort of tell you what they are. So we've got a few different things. We've got like doors opening with pressure pads. These are really cool. Actually, these are like the light boxes found in Portal. I think it's Portal 2, maybe not. So this box on the wall here is sort of constantly shooting out a sort of like a light beam, and then this box will allow you to sort of redirect it in whichever way the arrow's pointing. So if we turn it sideways and we move it forward into the beam, you can see it's now doing the beam sort of in this direction instead. But you can also activate different boxes with the box. So once it's activated something, it turns green. It's a bit of a visual indicator in that sense. And then you can do this one, and then you can make a loop as well, and it's all right with a loop. Because there was a bug where doing this would make an infinite loop and then it'd break. But I fixed that, that's all cool. And then, as you can see, if we sort of aim it at this one over here, then it powers, sort of like this wall bit, and then the door opens. So, and the beam can get blocked by the player as well. So, I'm currently in the way of this beam, which blocks it to that, and then the door closes, and then we just move out the way. Door opens and closes. And then there's a little portal in here. These portals don't render stuff until you're like inside a certain zone, and then you can pass boxes through it. Oh, and I apparently didn't fix this one, but you can still get out if you want. So, that portal there took us through that one, which is kind of cool. These are gravity boxes and volumes. So, specifically, oh, okay, there you go. It shows it just a little bit there. So it's in this zone, and then it'll fly up, and then there's another one that points that direction, and then it sort of throws the boxes, which is kind of cool. I made this 4D exhibit early on, which was really cool. It's a really cool system. So in this one, it's like it's a cone, and then as you can see, as we move around it, there's a lot of stuff in this area. So if it's a bit laggy, I'm sorry. So yeah, this one's a sphere, and then you move around, that's a cube, and then you move around again, it's like this this blue wall, which is really cool. It's a really cool thing. I didn't get into the showcase, but yeah, it is what it is. Now I've got some object scaling, so you walk on this pressure pad, and then it spawns a load of different size boxes, and then oh, there you go. They can be a little bit erratic sometimes, but it's cool just to see them all fall through and fly out. So the poles are really cool. It's the pack that you can find on the marketplace, and it can handle lots of sort of objects going through it at the same time. And it keeps velocity and sort of like the angle that it goes through, and it's really seamless. So it's pretty good. Let's just get these out of here. You can also pick up all of these, throw them away. The next thing is portal rescaling. So I showed it off in the showcase just a little bit. Having sort of a smaller portal linked to a big one when you walk through. There we go, a little bit laggy, sorry. But you can see now I'm small, sort of thing. And if you walk back through, you get back to the same size. And the sort of proportion, so the scale of the portals is really important. So in the showcase, the small portal is half the size of the big portal. So otherwise you'd get a scale of sort of 0.3, like whatever the sort of scale difference between the two poles is, that's the scale that you'd be. So it's super important that you keep these sort of proportional to each other. This is where I prototype plugs, so and a multiple input door, which is pretty cool. So this is sort of how I did the vent thing. Once both of these are in and they're both correct, then the door will open. So if we put the orange one in, you can see it's red and it's not open. We put the blue one back in, and then we can put the orange one in. And it seems to be a little bit broken, but never mind. Some more stuff. So we've got like a player object divider. I was thinking, how do I sort of separate the player and like a physics object if I ever needed to? So this wall sort of doesn't let the object through, but you can go through, but the object can't. So you can do stuff like that. This is the grayscale stuff. So I was messing around with stencil buffers, and it uses a custom depth mask. So you walk into the zone, and everything that has a custom depth mask will stay, with the right color, but it will grayscale everything else out. So that's really cool. You've got some actors that you can pick up that are not masked, so they're grayscaled, and then you've got these ones that are, that are sort of thing. And then we've got like a grayscale puzzle demo over here. So we've got the different colored pressure pads and some different colored boxes, and there's like some walls that go up and down. So it's red, blue, orange, purple. So this is the red one. And one thing that I was thinking about is sort of using the ones that are that have the custom depth mask. You can hover over them, so you can tell that this cube is red, and they're blue currently because this wall is blue. So red will do the red. Then you can come over here, you can see this one's blue. So you put that one on the blue one. This one's the orange one, and then this one is the purple one. And that moves a little ball sort of down a ramp, which is kind of cool. Having all these portals does make it incredibly laggy, so I'm sorry. You can link multiple portals together, so this is a little circuit so this portal's linked to that one, that one, to that one, that one, to that one, and that one back. So you can walk through literally any of these, and it will take you to somewhere else, and then you can even walk back through, and it will take you back. Well, it will take you round essentially. So that's that little circuit. Here I played around with sort of some parkour systems and actually changing the color of the cube. So that's broken as well. The more stuff that I add to the showcase and change, it affects the asset gym. So there's some things in here that are broken, but you know, it is what it is. But cube properties, that's sort of like what this area is about. So here we've got some really slidey cubes, so they've got really low friction. So as you can see, they move a lot. This is like just the normal cube for comparison. So it will stop, but you can sort of throw these and they'll slide around for a bit. You can jump on them when they're sliding and it'll take you around with you. So it's really cool. We've got some bouncy cubes here. So if we let them go, they bounce around a lot more than the other cubes do. It's a little hard to tell, but they do bounce a whole lot more. There you go. There's a good few bounces for you. So the whole idea was these portals, if they're a different color, will change the color, and then you'll have a different property. So these are some with no gravity on. So as you can see, they sort of just fly about a bit. There you go. It's kind of cool. And the up arrows just to sort of symbolize where, you know, give you some context, I guess. We've got some buoyancy / hovering cubes. These are really cool. As you can see, they're sort of bobbing up and down. You can actually change how buoyant they are in the editor. So you have them more or less buoyant. They can be like really high up in the sky if you want them to, or whatever. But one idea was sort of to have a floating section and sort of have some constrained physics actors. So they'd only like move in certain directions, so you could like jump on it, but it still bobs up and down. We've got some like heavy cubes. So these are the light ones, and these are trying to go up all the time. And this heavy one is too heavy, and so you know, weighs stuff down, and well, you sort of get the idea. These ones are growing and shrinking cubes, so I wanted something sort of sporadic. So they sort of increase and decrease in size, and they can launch you sometimes. There we go. There's a little launch there. We've got some physics-based seesaws, so sort of, you know, you can. This is a heavy cube, so it'll weigh it down, and then you can sort of jump on and then use it to get up. But if these boxes aren't here, then the seesaw tries to go back to normal, and then there you go. You can't get up. You know, just experimenting around with some cool physics constraints and some cool stuff like that. You know, and lots of physics boxes and stuff to play around with. This one might actually change the color. No, this one's broken as well. Okay, cool. Over here we've got, what have we got? Color specific pressure pads. Yeah, so this is when I made sort of options for the pressure pads itself. So this one has a white grid material, so this can be activated by the player. It can be activated by any different colored cube, but the blue one specifically has to be activated by a blue one. So, oh, that's a bouncy cube. So if I try to put the green one on, there you go. It tells me that it's the wrong color. Over here, some more cool stuff. So we've got like a little course to sort of experiment with movement. So these are your safe jumps, and this is me trying to figure out the absolute maximum jump that you can sort of do. You can also jump and crouch, so these are a little bit off because I put crouching in later. But you've got different step heights, so you can't step up these, but you can these ones. And all these change with sort of what scale you are. So I didn't have scaling in until a little bit later on, but this is all for size 0, so you can't walk up these slopes, stuff like that. Sort of like how wide you are. So there you go, you get stuck on these ones. All sort of color coded as well. So this could be used when you're making a level, a corridor width needs to be at least sort of, 120. So it's, not too bad, but preferably, you'd have it bigger than that. You'd have it at least 200. Same with sort of like the ceiling heights. So the maximum is sort of, over here, 200-ish. Then we've got some jumps. So you've got like what are like safe jumps, what are possible jumps, stuff like that. And there's a little collision box just at this edge, so it will jump you at the right time. Can be a little bit based on sort of FPS and stuff. But there we go, made it to that one. And then those jumps you can't make. Here's some sort of jump pads that I was experimenting with, and I added jump pads to the bouncy cubes. So you jump on this and it bounces you up. And then there's also the floor, so you can jump on the floor and that bounces you up. Really cool sort of, simple idea, but effective. And you can move these boxes around as well. So the idea is that maybe you have somewhere up high that you can't reach like this. But if you've got a jump pad sort of cube, you can jump on it and it will take you up higher. So that's pretty cool. Here's the little cameras and stuff, so you can hit them off and they break and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Just little things. And then we've got the vents. So I was experimenting with having a volume inside that pushes you along. So if you had like a fan, it could like drag you along and then sort of throw you up, stuff like that. The gravity scale is changed as well for when you're a smaller size, so you've got to be careful with your values. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the showcase. I made a lot of stuff, as you can see, based on the FPS alone, you should be able to see that there's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, that is pretty much everything. I'll stop rambling now, and yeah, thanks for watching.